there are people, you can see over here, this is Tony Greer saying that Bitcoin is $10,000 off for when people became laser eyes during the laser eyes fiasco. Feels like moving average hopscotch. I'm 22,000 bid firm. It will never get filled. You're never ever going to get filled at Bitcoin $22,000. You're dreaming if you think that there's going to be a 62% correction in the bull market phase of the 4-year cycle. Do not forget, during the dollar liquidity crisis, Bitcoin was off 60% from the all-time high. During a crisis, not yet in its bull market phase, still coming into the halving, Bitcoin was off only 60%. If you think that you're going to have in the bull market phase a 62%, a 60% correction and get filled at $22,000, you're dreaming. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
So the question is, will this time be different, do you think? Have we moved into something fundamentally different after 2020, or will we still see a market cycle similar to what we had before?
By the way, Bitcoin hasn't changed, but all of the ecosystem around Bitcoin has changed radically. For example, Bitcoin is not just the underlying blockchain. Bitcoin is the banks that are plugged into Bitcoin. So Fidelity is a Bitcoin bank. Coinbase is a Bitcoin bank. Binance didn't exist 4 years ago. It's a Bitcoin bank. The CME is a Bitcoin bank. PayPal and Square are Bitcoin banks. MicroStrategy and Grayscale are Bitcoin banks. Those are radically different things. Probably PayPal and Square will, between the two of them, they will sell Bitcoin to, what do you think, 20, 30 million people this year? The holder.
That's profound in itself. 20, 30 million people between Square and PayPal alone. That's not talking about Grayscale. Grayscale GBTC, a lot of people use that as a proxy to play Bitcoin. I myself use that in retirement accounts to do as such. Think about it. So Bitcoin right now is trading. These are two charts sent to me, one of my closest friends of the life, brother. And you're looking at over here, these head and shoulder patterns. So price trading at $48,875. And you can see these head and shoulders, these inverse head and shoulders pattern. This is the head, this is the left, and then the right shoulder. There's the trend line over there. There's the break of the trend line, the retest, the resumption off, and then you could see over here another head and shoulders taking place. Again, you could see the neckline coming from, this is the left shoulder, this is the head, and this is the right shoulder. The trend line would therefore be cutting across as my mouse is right there. Breakout, no retest, comes back in over here, and Bitcoin all of a sudden is then trading at $47,000. $188. And people today are thinking like, what's going on with Bitcoin? This morning, as we got in the live stream, we made that abundantly clear, right? We got together, we huddled up, and we took a look at the markets, and we felt strong about it, as always. We have Bitcoin trading here at 47. What is it right now? $46,000. Bitcoin trading at $47,000, below the trend line, but Bitcoin's trading at $47,000. Do you remember just a week ago? Bitcoin opened up at $48,789. Right now trading at $47,000, down $1,700 1 week ago. But go back another week and what was Bitcoin trading at? $38,000? Bitcoin now trading, remember that tweet at 38,000? Anything above 38,000, that's, I mean, come on. What happens if you just took a position over here at $58,000? This is your first position into Bitcoin, $58,000, and it's still early. You're still really early. And not only are you early, you're right on time. I mean, you're late. This was the halving over here. This is what's taking place since as we look, but you're late. No problem. You're still really early. Look what's ahead over here. And that's just preparing you to be on the right side of the market, to be on the right trade, into the right investment, right? You have to understand it for yourself. Otherwise, if you bought at $58,000, you're thinking to yourself right now, wait, what's going on? This doesn't look good over me. But remember, $22,000 is never getting filled again, right? Over here, let him try 38 if he's lucky, right? $38,000. Do you think that we're going to see a pullback over here? Let's see, $38,000. Let's take a look at what it is. That's a 30% pullback. Yep. He'll be lucky to get $38,000. A 35% pullback. He'll be lucky to get $38,000. Dead on. And that's the truth over here. Jerome Powell, by the way, today, Jerome Powell made it clear before all the lawmakers that the Fed is seriously considering Do I have it over here? Here we go. Let's take a look over here. Got to keep the idiots buying the fake digital money. Keep telling them to the moon and hope the next group of suckers comes to bail out the last. Yeah, so I was saying Fed President Powell spoke today, saying that the Fed is seriously considering the digital dollar. Have fun with that fake digital money. That's going to be an enormous on-ramp into Bitcoin. Think about it. Once the digital dollar campaign takes place, once everyone's using the digital dollar, now for the first time understanding that digital money is real, the Federal Reserve is using it. They're going to be seriously considering Bitcoin, understanding what real money is, what sound money is, the value proposition of Bitcoin. Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. And the dollars? It's going to be an enormous on-ramp into Bitcoin like nothing you've ever seen before. The Fed is opening up the Fed gates. How soon before they're ready to do that? The last I heard them say, it was 2022, 2023. Let's see what happens over there. That's something that's developing. That's something that's important. Heath on Trade Talk. The Swiss franc is weak today. Listen to this. Listen up. Heath making the observation the Swiss franc is weak today. If something was going to cause a market sell-off, what are we looking today? Is the S&P is down 0.6% off its lows. Off its lows, only down 3% on the year. Or should I say up 3% on the year. Found the support we were looking at this morning, not calling a bottom, just looking at the fact that the support was over there. The same thing with the Nasdaq. Going into it saying, I think that from here, the Nasdaq, if it holds support, is the better trade. Let's see if the Nasdaq, or how long it takes the Nasdaq to go on and make new all-time highs. Gold being rejected this morning into this resistance in no man's land. Gold between the resistance out of this channel. If I zoom out over here, you can see from the all-time high in gold. You can see then touched in November the 5th. And then after breaking out in early January, I should say, it comes in and retests that breakout. It fails, it holds, and then fails right after that. And then at this point, gold has been trading within this narrow range again. The range is narrowing, I should say. And that's getting a sign that sooner or later, gold's going to break out. It's going to be to the upside. No question about that. It's a question of how far it goes from here, right? Does it take out the new all-time high in 2022? And what are we looking at by the end of the year? Are we looking at gold to 2,300? Are the rising yields going to continue to suppress the price of gold over here? Or is gold about to decouple from those pressures and then go off onto its own bit of price discovery? How far it will get? Still expected to underperform silver. And silver expected, obviously, to underperform Bitcoin by an enormous margin. However, let's continue tracking what's going on over here as silver has broken above this 97.64 resistance. Coming in for the retest right now. You can see it's trading a little below that line. It's important where this closes over here. It's closing right around the level. You have to say, even if it closed below where I have the 27.64 red resistance line, that's meaningless over here. If you could just go ahead and move this down to where we were peaking out in that area over here, you could then see a couple of other touches. Over here, it was resistance clearly. I mean, it's a line you have to be paying attention to. There's no question about it. It looks like we're closing above it. You could see the difference, right? Don't be so square. You could see over here, you have to be flexible. You have to be the one of the quickest people to adapt in the whole world if you're a trader. That's what's up. But if you're not, I mean, then you got to be thinking longer time preference. Looking at silver over here, what's it doing? This is a pretty bullish pattern, don't you think? Just look at this. You ready? Here's the crisis, by the way. Here's where the Fed expands their balance sheet by $4.1 trillion. But the banks are not lending. This zooms up over here. Silver, massive bull market. Then this huge period of consolidation. Silver breaks out, and gold's not yet doing that. Gold is, you could see, lagging out. Gold tried. It failed quickly. Remember? I got involved in that. Will again. If you're really seriously about a long term, if you're a stacker, right? Anytime we come into the support, even if it was up here at 1871, you're just continuing to accumulate all touches of the support, right? I'm just looking at the chart, explaining what I see. It's up to you to make the decision. This is not financial advice. I just want to help you to understand the markets. So I'm just adding to that conversation, sharing what I understand, what I know, what has served me well. And, I like sharing it with others. But it's ultimately up to you to make all decisions that you make. Understand that, or you should not be trading any money whatsoever. You could see over here silver making that breakout, right? Ahead of gold, as gold was still lagging. And then silver had another consolidation period over here. Broke out again. Oh no, but it was Wall Street bets, right? And then you see silver after that huge break over here coming into the resistance, coming right into the area of resistance over here, backing off for the retest. This now holds as support, $26. 2 touches over there. That's strong support at silver. You got to feel comfortable holding silver, in my opinion, with the stop just under that 26 support. If we take out the 26 support, something's wrong. At that point, you don't want to be invested in silver from a swing trader's perspective, but this is a swing trade that you're looking to turn into a position trade, in my opinion. Right? In my opinion. So what does that mean? What does that mean right now? Lining up a trade, getting above this area of broken resistance. Is it going to hold as support? It still remains to be seen what happens. Let's see what happens during Asia and London. If we hold this support and start resuming off of it, that opens up an opportunity. Again, stop loss above 26. That's what I'm looking at over here. Taking out the yearly high over here, the 2020 high, that should take us somewhere around $35 on silver. We have big resistance over here. That resistance is going to be broken. Right? And once that resistance is broken, it looks like we're looking at eventually destination, $50, all-time high in silver, into the price discovery. Where does it end up this year? We'll see. And we're looking at Bitcoin here trading at $47,656. You could see it trading below this trend line over here. Currently into a 24% pulled back right now, about 20% over here, but still below this trend line. If you dig down and you look over here at a smaller time frame, the 2-hour time frame, you can see after breaking that trend line support over here, just over here yesterday, as it dropped down, it then has bounced back to retest that broken support. It is now holding as resistance as price is just now resuming off. Bitcoin at this point needs to trade back above this trend line over here, back above $50,000. Otherwise, it looks like that it's going to continue this resumption off over here, take out this last swing low, and at that point, we could be targeting somewhere first starting at $40,000 just above. By the way, at that point, a 30% pullback, where we might, and always be prepared for at least a 30% pullback plus during the bull market. Everyone knows that. Over here at 40,800, we have about a 30% correction into the support over here, because if you look over here, if I zoom out over here, you could see that this area of resistance occurring first over here in January the 18th, then again on the 29th. And then once it broke out above here early February, it came in, has retested it. After the retest, also retest not only the horizontal broken resistance as support and the resumption off, but also holding this trend line support over here. If we come back down into that support, that would be about a 35% correction. I don't think Bitcoin trades lower than 37,500 ever again. If we do trade below $37,500, if we have over a 35% drawdown, I'm gonna think something's wrong on Bitcoin. If we have I don't expect a 38 or greater percent drawdown in Bitcoin right now. And if we do, that's a sign something's wrong, and you have to go ahead and lighten up your position, especially if you're lightly leveraged. Something's not right. Right? Are we going to have on Bitcoin a 50% pullback into $29,500? I don't think so. If Bitcoin is able to have over here a further pullback, if Bitcoin is able to pull back, let's call it 30%, 30+%, at that point, whatever that level is, we'll be taking the low. Let's say it was $40,000. If it was this is strategy number 3 on how to 3 ways to trade the Bitcoin bull market on the Bitcoin playlist. If you watched it, go ahead and watch it again. Smash that like button on that video. Go ahead and add your thoughts, but make sure you watch that. If you haven't watched that, that's fundamental. You have to watch that video. That's strategy number 3. It's the most advanced of them all, and then we'll know what we're targeting. Right now, we're targeting in the $70,000 area. We have Will's resistance. We'll look at it as we start making new all-time highs above 58,000. right? But if we put in a 30% or greater drawdown, we'll be using that new number. Okay, so for example, if that was 40,000, you would just add 40,000 times 150%. And whatever that takes us to, that's our next area we'll be looking at. We'll see how that develops in the coming days.
The Bitcoin have changed. The investment community have changed. The narrative has changed. The use case has changed. The way that people buy it has changed. And the technology to buy it. For example, I buy $200 million of it. I do with 88,000 transactions every 3 seconds, buying Bitcoin $2,000 a second. And I buy it to hold it forever. That's changed. Look at all the Bitcoin that Grayscale bought. It's locked up in a trust. Do you know how that will be sold?
Listen, is GPTC a good investment? Is that a good way to play Bitcoin? It's not holding Bitcoin. You don't own you don't own your own keys. You don't own your Bitcoin. Right? Do you expect Grayscale to go under though? Let's take a look. Listen to this if you're interested in GBTC.
Not sure, no.
Tell me how, this is a good question for anybody on the call. How do you think that's ever going to be sold?
Yeah, I can't see it getting sold. I see them just accumulating
Right.
more.
It's actually more extreme than that. It is impossible to sell it, Saifedean. There is no mechanism to sell it. The construction of the trust is such that when the money flows into the trust, they buy Bitcoin. There are GBTC shares that are issued. Those shares can be sold, and the price of the shares, the derivatives can go down. The underlying Bitcoin can never be sold per the charter, ever.
Well,
So you see, there are fundamental different things that are going on. Last I checked, they had $30 billion of Bitcoin. That's $30 billion of Bitcoin that can't be sold. Okay, held by institutions, a very, very different world. So these are sources of inertia flowing into Bitcoin. And by the way,
Interesting conversation. Interesting conversation. Many of you probably heard this already as this was released last week. This is Michael Saylor on the Fiat Standard Saifedean. But go ahead, I'm going to continue listening with you, and I'm going to go ahead and take it from wherever it leads us.
volatility is not the same. Like if you look at the drawdowns, they're not the same. Like when Bitcoin ran up to 40,000, it traded back down to 30,000. That was a 25% retracement, not an 80% retracement.
So you think the days of 80% retracements are over?
Yes.
Well, that's where Michael Saylor doesn't understand. That's where Michael Saylor needs a little bit of help. Michael, Chad, what's going on? But listen, in the 4 years, if you understand the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin, you would not be looking for any type of 80% drawdown as Bitcoin comes into $40,000. As Bitcoin comes into $40,000 and pulls back into 30, that's exactly what's expected during the Bitcoin bull market. Go to strategy number 2 on 3 ways to trade Bitcoin, and you understand we're looking for those 30% drawdowns as the ideal place to accumulate during the Bitcoin bull market phase. This is strategy number 2, intermediate, but important to know and understand. But saying, listen, as Bitcoin came into 40,000, we didn't have an 80% drawdown, as we have had 80% drawdowns in past bear markets. That's the norm. Let me go ahead and try to pull up a chart over here for you. Here we go. 4 years ago today, the Bitcoin price finally broke the 2013 all-time high of $1,163. If you look over here during the bear market phases, this is the first halving. This is the second halving. After the halving, this is the third halving. After the halving event, we have the bull market phase, which takes place over here. We're looking towards the end of September for this particular bull market to end. Now, if we're listening to Michael, and Michael's right now, Chad is saying, listen, we didn't have an 80% pullback from over here on 40,000. We didn't have an 80% pullback. We only pulled back into 30,000 and then went up into $58,000. We would not expect to have an 84%. This was an 84% drawdown from the cycle peak. We're not getting to the peak into the earliest end of September. Right? So over here you have the peak and then you have that 84% drawdown to the bear market low. This is roughly 15 months to the next halving event. This is when we position back into Bitcoin. Right? Now, if you go back to the other cycle, this was an 85% drawdown from the bull market peak down to the bear market low. 15 months after that, that was the exact place you begin accumulating once again. And then you have the halving event, the bull market phase taking place. So Bitcoin trading right now, $48,000. No, we weren't looking for an 80% pullback, but let's listen what else we have here to say.
I do. Let me say it differently. If you're a Boy Scout and you're shivering in the freezing cold and you're attempting to start a fire for the first time, you recall how difficult it is to start a fire, and then you recall going to sleep without a fire, and then maybe your friend froze to death and you're mortified by it. But then one day you grow up and you have a furnace in your house, or maybe you plug into someone else's electrical system and you have electrical heater. You're not a Boy Scout anymore, right? It's a totally different world, and the system, the network is much more mature. It's just much better engineered. There's much more monetary energy in it. There's much more inertia. I mean, ultimately.
All right, so I love it all. Yeah, that's great, but that's not what's going on, right? And early in the interview, Safadine pointed out to Michael, "Hey, Michael, look, you basically bought into Bitcoin at the right time, huh? What was your first purchase price? Like $10,500 or thereabouts, and Bitcoin trading at 48,000. Come on, Michael. You didn't hold through the hard times. You didn't go through the bear markets. You didn't buy it at $1,000, and then watch Bitcoin drop to $200 and hold through that. No one knew about cycles as they do now. There was no model to go off of. Models are models until they're broken, right? There's no question about that, but the model hasn't yet broken. Everything's right on time. Everything's exactly in the exact order with the exact timing that we've been talking about well in advance as we continue to do that. Therefore, until that model breaks, we're going to go with that model, right? We're not looking for 80% drawdowns over here during this portion of the bull market phase, understanding that from where we are right now, we're just getting started over here from when we expect are what's going to seem like vertical rises in the price of Bitcoin, and then finally climaxing in actually a vertical move. Every single cycle will end the bull market in a climax. That's the point where you're going to see lots of people talking about this time is different. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. Right? And a lot of people have different timings. The last I heard from Raul, he believes that the top, when he's going to be exiting, although he has price targets on the way up, I guess where he exits or scales out of, I'm going for the top. I'm going to be exiting Bitcoin at the cycle peak, right? I'm going to get really close to, I know that because I'm always on the pulse of Bitcoin. Right? But nevertheless, if people are selling into 2022, January, maybe they believe December is normally very bullish for Bitcoin. Actually, both of its bull markets have climaxed in December. I'm holding through December. I could exit early in January knowing I'm getting somewhere near the top. Maybe Bitcoin comes off 50%. Look, maybe Bitcoin comes off 50% in a matter of days or weeks. Comes off 50%. It's going to jump up. I could get out there, look over here. Here's that quick 50% drawdown, and then there's that move up. So you're getting out basically 85%. That's a good exit, no question about it. If you miss the first exit, I'm still gonna walk you out where to get out. There's no question about that. And when I say walk you through it, I'm just gonna be telling you what's exactly happening as it's happening. It'll be up for you to decide what to do. All right. I also know if in January 2022. We start making new all-time highs on Bitcoin, I'm going to be long Bitcoin because that's the models are broken if that's occurring. The models are absolutely broken if that's occurring. Well, I'm not timing this as being over in December. This is a shorter cycle. We're not seeing diminishing returns. We're seeing increasing returns from last cycle due to these super easy monetary policies. A shorter cycle is in store as well. Wait, watch it with us. We're going to get out at the top. Everyone, thanks for the time. Thanks for being here. Go ahead and smash the like button. Please go ahead and share this video with someone. Help them learn something about the markets. Help them learn something that could really change their future. Please go ahead and share the love. Everyone, have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.